think people can universally understand is this. There is something to be said for the worst element of capitalism, which is price gouging, vulturism, the ability to scare the bejesus out of everybody, that the fear of missing out, or you're never going to get this. What is the justification behind charging $500 today for PlayStation and 6 months from now charging $150 for the PlayStation? It's this mentality of you're not going to get it, but you will eventually, because everything is about supply and demand. The people that are in control, because of the fact that we have no guardrails, because labor has been absolutely destroyed from the very top, from Reagan all the way to Biden, and Biden had a very big hand in this, not just as president, but also in the Senate. He is one of the very worst, and there are people who are in total denial of that because of their Trump derangement. But that's also because the system is broken. We look at this now and we think, how does anybody justify charging $300 for, or even a better example is the Taylor Swift concerts now, which I'm hearing $2,000 a ticket. And I'm thinking, okay, I understand that people's lives are maybe not so fulfilling, and they feel that going to a Taylor Swift concert is a way to enjoy themselves. But if you've become so broken by the system that you literally will give up, let's say, 2 months worth of living just so you have a few hours of bliss. I mean, listen, I don't know Taylor Swift from a hole in the wall, but if she really had a problem with people spending $2,000 a ticket, she could easily change that like that and say, I'm not going to perform if you're going to continue to price gouge. Yep. They're all effing in it together. And the idea that you're so blind that you can't see that even if you find her entertaining, that she is just as much guilty as anybody else. She's not stupid. She knows that this is going on. This is like anything. The people who claim that they care so very, very much about how bad working people have it in this country, if you're not willing to put your money where your mouth is, then as you said before, shut the F up, or even worse, we're going to come for you. This is like, it's like people really don't follow history. It's like they do not learn that history will always repeat itself. And we're entering that phase of the system that is being completely broken down at this point, where people are getting ready to get violent. Like if you don't recognize that we're that close to people taking up arms, I don't know where you're looking now, because people are so desperate. And like you said, we're only 6 weeks away from the level of desperation that could really get out of control.
Yeah. I want you to think about something like, so rather than just be aimless and going with whatever, is the current trend, to me, having a class analysis and having a destination that I understand that I want to work toward allows me to be centered. Okay. Allows me to evaluate versus join. I'm not a joiner. I know where I want to be. I know what I'm fighting for. And within that space, I was talking earlier to people on my team, and I was talking to them about before Google Maps took over everything. When you would say, hey, I want to go to Hershey Park, and you pull it up and it'd say, if you're coming from 83, here's the pathway. If you're coming from 495, here's the pathway. If you're coming from Route 70, here's the pathway. If you're coming from the airport, here's the pathway. So all these different ways of getting, they're going to the same spot, that one destination. So you could transpose that to the way we think as people. If you're a Republican, here's how we get you to center. We got to be able to address those concerns to get you here. If you're a libertarian, here's the ideas that you've been thinking about, but here's where it's right. Here's how we get you right here. You got to be able to pull them in instead of that one size fits all kind of mindset, right? It's still one size fits all at the end, because I'm not equivocating on freedom, and I'm not equivocating on making sure universal basic needs are taken care of for every single person, period. However, in that conversation, and I was referencing this a little bit ago with about Jason Hickel. I don't know if you remember, that was probably 20 minutes ago. I brought it up and kind of like a hanging Chad moved on. But Jason Hickel is a neat guy. He's about something called degrowth. Okay. And people don't understand what that is. They don't understand that term. It doesn't mean anything to them. They just think that it means, oh, you're going to crash the market. Oh, you're going to make us all paupers. You're going to put us in burlap bags or whatever thing that people say to fearmonger people from making the world a better place. And speaking with him, it's quite clear that there is a groundswell of people that not only understand the climate is on fire, understand the inequality baked into the system, not just within our country, but in the world, the global south, etc. So much of what's going on in Ukraine right now, despite all the alt media versions of this stuff, is a direct result of the predation of the global north on the global south for resource extraction. If you know Ukraine has been the breadbasket of Europe for a very, very long time. Russia highly depends on Ukraine. And they also depend on Ukraine for access to ports, all kinds of stuff. So with this bullshit that the United States does, it has exported this kind of predatory colonialism that the rest of Europe plays in. For example, in Africa, many countries use what they call the CRA franc. Okay. They're colonial nations using French currency because they don't have their own. And you look and you watch and you understand what's happening. If you could put that together and think about that from a class perspective, the world's working class, the world's poor, the world's labor, okay, come together as one fight, one fist, okay? These are things that we can latch on to. And if you understand what we've been doing, I mean, some of the confessions of an economic hitman were a little flamboyant and a little off, but it was still a great book. It still really put you on to some really important truths. And you start understanding it's not about making money. See, these rich don't need money. It's not about money. It's all about access to power, access to real resources. And when you understand it's all about extraction, you understand that the reason why the U.S. is creating somewhat of a Cold War with China is because we've allowed our infrastructure to go belly up. We haven't taken care of ourselves. We haven't done the things we need. We've been too busy mining empire around the world. Okay. So all of this plays into a different analysis, a different perspective. Instead of worrying about Joe Biden, he sucks, he's horrible, but he's part of a corrupt system that perpetuates itself. The next person that comes up is going to be just as bad, if not worse. And it's going to be the most important election you've ever experienced in your life, bar none. There's no election more important than this one. And you're going to have people that think they're being
every election.
Yeah, that's right. These people are going to be super, super earnest, and they're going to look at you like a small child asking you if you've received your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, with the doe eyes. So please vote for Joe. Please vote for whoever. You don't want Trump, do you? And it's going to happen all over again. We need to pull away from that. We need to understand, sit them down on our lap like a child and explain to them what we're up against. Explain to them for real the plight. These things that we're dealing with are not going to be voted away, no matter how enticing the election is, no matter how passionate some, Justice Democrat who's running around and sitting in a lot of Zoom meetings, really being very serious. They don't recognize the structural impairments within the system built to make them feel like they're contributing something, all the while not doing a damn thing. It's just kept them out of the real fight, which is this organization around the world, this global fight against climate crisis, against unemployment, against inequality, against resource extraction. We've got so much going on right now, a polycrisis, as they say, that for us to just get locked into electoralism, to focus on these neo-maxis and dweebies and act like they're somehow or another going to solve these problems because, oh my God, Trump, we have really, really got to step back. Those of us who have the brain, who have knowledge, who understand, have to step back and say, how do we bring these people together? And it can't be within the party, because the party is built to suffocate a movement. The party is built to choke an activist. It's built to crush the working class. All the while smiling like, have you voted for Joe Biden? Can we count on your support? It's a really important
election. Like a cult.
Yeah.
It's a cult. Yeah. And I've known for a long time, I've seen the man behind the curtain, that it's all just kind of theater and silliness. Like, I totally know this. And it's really difficult sometimes to have conversations with people that are still drinking the Kool-Aid. I feel like You know, we're looking at two completely different universes. When people are talking about this and they're so freaked out and they don't understand why I'm not so worried about it being Trump. And I'm in my head thinking, tomato, it doesn't matter. And I also, again, I've said a million times, I don't care what language my oligarchs speak. I don't care if they're Russian. I don't care if they're Chinese. Those people are all on the same team. Ultimately, it's a class war. And people just are not understanding that, because I think it's honestly, it's too big. Like their people's brains cannot wrap around that. It is a lot easier to focus on your country, your electoral process, got to get out and vote, because the big picture is really scary.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.